From the Long Dark Tea Time of the Soul by Douglas Adams. It can hardly be a coincidence that no language on earth has ever produced the expression, as pretty as an airport.
Listen to the sound of my voice. Take a deep breath and clear your mind. Inhale deeply and know that when you exhale on my count of 3, you will awaken and know that you are listening to the Reading Room Ruffians and that we actually are your favorite library podcast. You will subscribe to get new episodes weekly, send us a message via your podcast streaming service, and let us know your favorite t-shirt color and size so we can enter you into a drawing for a new shirt. On us! When this episode ends, I will say the words, Pink Pony Club, and you will awaken from your hypnotized state. 3, 2, 1.
Oh my god, it was so hard to keep straight face.
Okay.
I feel like a sleeper agent.
Today we're going to be discussing Hypnosis. It is a curiosity that we've actually been kind of excited to hear about, so I'm going to let Zach take the lead. And here we go.
So today we're going to be talking about hypnosis. And mostly, the reason we wanted to talk about this is we wanted to figure out whether or not hypnosis was actually real. Is it a legit thing? Is it not a legit thing? Is it hokum? Is it nonsense? Is it actually real? Well, we'll find out over the course of this podcast. So this topic has always intrigued people. It's been associated with magic, mystery, and even skepticism for centuries. And we have pretty much all seen it in its various forms of media, but it's been used for treatment for quite a long time now. So today we're going to explore how hypnosis evolved from a misunderstood practice into a well-regarded psychological and medical tool, even if there is still some skepticism as to whether or not it's legitimate. So listen closely to the sound of my voice. Feel your eyelids get heavy. Heavy, heavy. And now relax into a deep sleep. Unless you're operating a heavy machinery. And bathe in a wonderful auditory phenomena that is the Reading Room Ruffians. Now let's begin with the origins of hypnosis, dating back to ancient times. The idea of inducing altered states in consciousness has been around for millennia. So, let's start off at the beginning. Hypnosis, as we know today, has its roots back in ancient civilizations. The oldest references we have to it are from the ancient Egyptians in 3500 BCE. But we also see references from both Greek and early Chinese cultures where they use trance-like practices for healing. In ancient Egypt, for instance, they had these things called the temples of sleep, and they were dedicated to healing rituals where priests would guide individuals into a state of rest or meditation, often regarded as a precursor to hypnosis. Right, so that's what they used to do. They used to guide people into this sort of trance-like state.
I want to do that.
I know.
I want
fun,
these
right?
sleep places.
Sleep temples. The ancient Greeks also had something similar with their sleep temples, which were used for healing illnesses through dreams, and a practice associated with a god named Asclepius, who is the deity of medicine. Here people would enter a deep, relaxed state in the hopes that divine powers would provide healing or guidance in their dreams. In addition to this, there's also shamanic traditions, which are thought to be some of the oldest and most widespread methods of healing. Shamans and other sorts of folk healers oftentimes used ritualistic methods to bring themselves and others into altered states in order to cure them of their ailments. If we fast forward a bit to the Middle Ages, we see similar practices taking place within religious contexts, particularly with Christian and Islamic mysticism. Religious healers and shamans often used rhythmic chants, drumming, and rituals that resembled what we now call hypnotic induction. However, none of these practices were recognized scientifically at the time, and any healing attribute to them was usually considered the result of divine intervention and or magic. So it wasn't until the 18th century that hypnosis began to take a more structured form with the development of hypnotic methods by Franz Mesmer, which incidentally is where the term mesmerism or mesmerize comes from.
That's cool.
Huh.
Also, feel free to interrupt with any statements, questions, or anything like that.
I thought I just did.
aside from that, that's neat.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's talk about mesmerism and the origins of modern hypnosis, which is what we're going to be talking about for the rest of this. Although I will take a brief aside to say that I had no idea that hypnosis-like stuff was around for that long, or what people considered hypnosis.
Neither did I.
But yeah, it sounds like it's been around for a long time. And even though the ancient Egyptians is what we have the oldest record of, it seems like probably basically all ancient cultures had something similar, and it probably dated back to even further back than that. All right.
So maybe it works. I mean, if it's been around that long, maybe there is something to it.
Yeah.
Well, we'll find out as we go throughout the rest of this. So, mesmerism and the origin of modern hypnosis. So let's talk about Franz Anton Mesmer. He was an Austrian physician who is often credited with bringing hypnosis into the realm of science and medicine. In the late 1700s, Mesmer introduced the concept of animal magnetism, which is a theory that suggested there were invisible forces or natural energies that flowed between people, and he believed that manipulating these forces could cure ailments. So Mesmer would place his patients into a trance-like state, often using a wand or his hands to guide the magnetic energies through their bodies. And patients would fall into a trance, and many would claim that they felt better after treatment. However, Mesmer's theories about these mysterious fluids were debunked, and his practices were deemed pseudoscientific because it's nonsense. But what he
I don't know.
did
It sounds a little bit.
Well, I think that if you read a little bit more into this, he was convinced that basically waving magnets in front of people was the thing that was curing them, not the hypnosis part.
Okay.
He thought that
I missed the magnet part.
Well, it's called animal magnetism, and the reason it's called that is because I think the original story was that he was trying to treat somebody and just had a magnet, and he waved it in front of them after doing whatever stuff, and he got them into this trance-like state. Presumably, he was just talking to them a lot. And like getting them to focus on the magnet, feel these energies. And then eventually,
when you said magnetism, I was not thinking actual magnets. I was thinking like a more esoteric thing, and I thought maybe it was sounding like the chi force, like from
yeah. So that's sort of what I was thinking as well. When I first heard about animal magnetism, no, he means literally you have a magnetic field around you that he can manipulate with magnets and heal you. All of that stuff was like debunked because we don't have that. We do have a magnetic field around us, but it's very weak and that doesn't actually do any of this sort of stuff. But what he did do was lay the groundwork for, and this is inadvertently obviously, that the idea that altered states of consciousness could produce real therapeutic effects. Even though Mesmer's theory of magnetism didn't hold up, his methods were basically the groundwork for modern day hypnosis. I keep trying to say Hypnosis, which is not a word, but it's like
it looks like it's spelled that way.
Hypnosis, because I think you got we got hypnotherapy, hypnosis, and then I keep saying I want to say hypothesis type, like that's so it's hypnosis. It's just it's challenged to not just screw it up every time. So we're moving on to what we consider now more of the actual hypnosis stuff, not mesmerism, but actual hypnosis. And that is with James Braid and the birth of hypnosis as a science, basically. So the next major leap in the study of hypnosis and hypnotism was in the 19th century with James Braid. Now, James Braid was a Scottish surgeon or gentleman scientist, who is often referred to as the father of modern hypnotism. Also, a gentleman scientist, for those who don't know, because I didn't, is basically a rich guy from back in the day who did science, but it was all self-funded. Which sounds like a cool thing.
I really wanted to call him a witch. When he's like a guy with, science or whatever, I would be like, is a witch.
Not a witch. Anyway.
Could be.
He was, however, not initially convinced by this concept of mesmerism at the time. In fact, he once ran on the stage of an act being performed by Charles Lafontaine in order to prove that the whole thing was nonsense. But when he tried to talk to the participants, he found that they could not open their eyes, according to them. So Lafontaine had hypnotized them, caused them to close their eyes, and then they claimed they couldn't actually open them back up. And this convinced Braid...
Oh, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, it is weird, right? I have never heard of that sort of a thing being done with hypnosis, but apparently they did bunches of weird stuff back when they did these mesmerism shows back in the day. So this convinced Braid to conduct his own experiments on patients in the 1840s, and he concluded that the trance-like state induced by Mesmer's techniques was not caused by, magnetism, but rather some sort of psychological process. He coined the term hypnotism, which is short for neurohypnotism, after the Greek word for sleep, hypnos, in order to basically disassociate himself with mesmerism, which he thought was going to hurt his credibility, which, the foundation for mesmerism is basically magnets. So, that makes some sense. He wanted to get it on a more legit scientific standing, basically. Braid's work was especially revolutionary at the time because it moved hypnosis away from the mystical explanations and began to frame it in something like basically a psychological phenomenon. And he believed that the trance state was a form of heightened suggestibility where a person's attention could be narrowed and focused through relaxation techniques. Though he initially thought hypnosis was similar to sleep, he later changed his mind, thinking that it was a distinct and unique state of consciousness. So instead of just sleeping or drowsy or whatever, it's this new, different kind of state of consciousness. And using the techniques he developed, he claimed to be able to treat a variety of conditions and wrote a book called Neurypnology, which is spelled Neurypnology, which is kind of a weird word. Good
Lord.
Yeah, no, Neurypnology, where he details his treatment of about 25 different people, or 25 different case studies. Some of them had great success and others not so much. The fact that he did both was, I thought, impressive. One of the most compelling successful cases was that of a middle-aged man who suffered from a spinal injury, which caused him intense pain and mobility issues. But Braid, if he's to be believed, was able to relieve the man's back pain increase his mobility, allowing him to return to work after 2 months of treatment. So he allowed him to get some sort of pain management type thing. I'm not entirely sure how this would work, honestly, because it couldn't have been a physical...
maybe the guy just needed a couple months or whatever.
That's also a possibility.
Recuperate.
But I think that this was a chronic thing that he helped fix. So that one just seems a little sketchy to me. I'm not sure how that would work. But I've heard that people do get pain management type techniques from hypnosis, and it does help in the long run. So pain's just in your brain anyway, right? So in theory, you should be able to disassociate it with what's actually going on to some degree. It's like those things when they operate on people, but they're still awake and they feel the pain, but they don't remember. So it's like they never felt the pain. You know what I'm talking about?
No,
So this is it's a kind of anesthetic, basically, that you still feel the pain the whole time, but it never you don't remember the fact that you're feeling the pain. So it hurts, but then
what about in the moment? Do you remember?
I think it's they paralyze you too when they do this stuff, and you're feeling the pain, you just don't remember it. It's kind of weird.
It's sounds like a torture device.
It does, but you never remember the torture part. So have you really been tortured?
Well,
if
still,
you don't remember
but it's that you
tortured?
experienced it, and your body would remember.
Are you being gaslit by doctors?
Yeah.
Literally in that sense, right? They gas you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know exactly how it works or why there's like, but it's apparently a thing. Apparently a thing.
I think your body would remember the trauma.
I mean,
Whether
maybe.
you're
Yeah, because when you have like physical reactions like elevated heart rate and yet like whatnot and like high blood pressure or whatever,
It's possible.
you are
I don't know.
feeling the pain.
That's the thing. It depends.
That's kind of weird.
It depends on the sort of paralysis they do. I think you'd have to have something like that just because, I don't think obviously you can't paralyze the heart because then you'd just be dead. But I can't remember the sort of anesthetic.
You can paralyze the heart.
It would probably be muscle paralyze your muscles.
Yeah, it paralyzes your all the other muscles, so you can't move.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I can't remember what the thing is called.
Sounds more like torture.
Anyway, moving on. So we have the spread of we're moving on to how hypnosis spread in the 19th century. So this is after Braid's thing in the 18th century. Now we're in the 19th. Or I guess he was in the 19th century. This is what happens after that. So as his ideas spread, the practice of hypnosis started to gain traction among some of the most influential medical professionals at the time, including neurologists like Jean-Martin Charcot, who is known as the father of French neurology. Charcot, I assume it's Charcot, it's Charcot, which, this is French, so maybe it's Charcot or something like that too. It's hard to tell. I don't like French very much. It's like a weird language.
Bless you.
Thank you. Charcot is famous for his work on hysteria, the nervous system, hysteria in the nervous system, and he studied the hypnosis as a way to better treat his patients. However, Charcot's approach was different. He believed that hypnosis could only work on people with neurological conditions such as hysteria. And just to clarify, hysteria, and specifically female hysteria, are not really a thing, especially female hysteria. Much of what we call hysteria back in the day is now recognized as a variety of different things like epilepsy or dissociative disorders. So he was trying to
Or just being fed up.
Okay,
or
well, that's
having
not
a period.
Hysteria.
Yeah. Sometimes they consider
that's what they
it
said.
hysteria.
That's why I'm saying, especially not female hysteria was not really a thing. That's just men who didn't want to deal with women.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys are our chore, so I understand it, but it's not a medical condition.
That's only weak men think we're a chore.
No, you guys are a chore. I don't know.
Zach's calling himself out.
Anyway.
Then there are no strong men out there.
Maybe not. Or maybe just none strong enough to put up with your guys' BS. Anyway, moving on. I was trying to say
Zach wants to fight this morning.
I was trying to say that this is not a legitimate thing. I was on your guys' side, and I'm just like, man,
I know.
Hysteria stuff. Maybe it's real. I'm getting firsthand aspects over here on the pod. Anyway, so at the same time, another French physician, which is Hippolyte Bernheim, maybe? That doesn't sound like a French pronunciation to me, but
I kind of love the name, though. I kind of love that pronunciation.
Yeah, see, I think the issue is I'm pronouncing all the letters up. Yeah, Hippolyte's a good name, by the way. Hippolyte, it's like Greek or Roman or whatever. And Bernheim sounds German. I don't know what, this guy's a weird, he says he's French, but who knows? Anyway, he took a more progressive stance.
He's a man of the world.
Bernheim argued basically that hypnosis could work on anyone, not just those with neurological disorders. And he saw hypnosis as a psychological process rather than a physiological one, and began using it in his clinical practice to treat, a variety of conditions. This debate between Charcot and Bernheim caused others to look into the hypnosis and brought it into academic discussions, although it was still met with skepticism by, many in the medical community. But by the late 19th century, hypnosis was being used in everything from pain management to psychiatric treatment, even though its legitimacy as a medical tool was often questioned. I mean, some doctors still dismissed it as hokum, while others believed it held, some real promise as it was developed. Now, I know you guys are all noticing that we're talking about psychology a lot here. So who do we got to talk about at least a little bit?
Freud.
Sigmund Freud. And of course, since we were talking
can I have a little?
Oh, go ahead.
A little sidetrack on Freud.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, you know how he was like very like, oh, children love their mothers or love their fathers or yada yada yada. Okay, that girl that killed her mom and was in jail and now she's out of jail.
What are you
Gypsy
talking
Rose?
about?
Yes,
Yeah.
her Gypsy Rose. Her first husband apparently looks a lot like her mother, and her now second husband / baby daddy looks a lot like her father. And they're like, Sigmund Freud would have a field day.
You know, he probably would.
Anyways, that's all I wanted to say.
Good to know. Yeah, so Freud. Sigmund Freud is one of my least favorite psychologists or psychology people in the entire world. He's just like nonsense. I think that basically, if I'm not mistaken, basically everything that he ever like hypothesized has been shown to be nonsense.
I'm pretty sure
much.
he just was crushing on his mom real bad and wanted an excuse.
He was diagnosing himself really the whole time. And just
I think so. I really do.
I mean, it's just
That makes me wonder though, what's his mom look like?
I don't know. That's a good point.
Like, was
Maybe
she a
she's
baddie?
super smoking hot. Maybe. You never know.
She might have been.
Freud, weird guy. Anyway, so he
Okay,
was.
now I want to look it up.
That's
Get
what
on
I'm
that,
doing
guys.
currently. Yep.
So Freud was actually
right now.
initially fascinated by hypnosis and studied it in depth during his early career. In fact, he used it as a therapeutic tool to treat his patients, helping them access repressed memories and emotions. But Freud eventually moved away from hypnosis in favor of developing psychoanalysis, believing that free association was a better method for bringing unconscious thoughts to the surface. And actually, as a result of this, at least partially because Sigmund Freud was such a big deal back in the day, it sort of made interest in hypnosis go away for a little while, or at least wane a bit. So, I mean, the dude had some massive influence, even though he's not crazy. He just had bad ideas. Anyways, now let's.
Was she hot?
She was pretty. I think this is her anyway. Like, I've seen the picture multiple times, and it says that is Freud himself, and then that's his mom. But I think they look the same.
I think
age,
she-
so I'm
Let me
not
see.
sure.
I think nowadays with the hairstyles and stuff like that, she would be smoking
She
hot.
is hot.
Yeah.
There we go. We've solved that mystery.
I mean, she's pretty good looking. She could, with the modern day thing, yeah, she could be elevated. Let's say. They just
If
had
you
goofy hair
ever
back in the day.
Refer to a woman as, changing something to be elevated, I'm going to smack you.
I mean, her looks could have been elevated. That's the thing.
No, stop it.
Just saying.
Stop it.
I'm going to give you hair like this and see if you're what's the opposite of elevated? Brought down.
I don't think I have enough hair to have hair.
I mean,
like
you don't,
that,
but grow it out. We'll get you some weird, weird 1800s hair.
Weaves.
I'd still look hot.
I mean, some did. It was a detriment. Let's just say it didn't help the situation very much. But man, they got some wild outfits too. I'm seeing a lot more pictures of her as an old lady than as a young woman.
Yeah. Which is why I wasn't totally sure if that was her or not.
I
saw
mean,
the
if
picture
it's
a couple of
this
times,
one,
and then most-
like this one from Reddit, I'm saying, yeah, she pretty. Anyway, moving on. So we're going to talk about what happened after this hypnosis in the modern era. So if we fast forward to the mid 20th century, we meet one of the most important figures in modern hypnotherapy, Milton Erickson. Now, Erickson was an American psychiatrist and psychologist who revolutionized the way hypnosis was used in therapy. He developed what's known as Ericksonian hypnosis. I wonder if he called it that, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Think he called it Ericksonian hypnosis? Probably.
Well, he was a psychologist, so probably.
Yeah, they get a little bit, full of themselves with some stuff. Anyway, this focuses on indirect suggestions and storytelling to induce therapeutic changes in patients. So Erickson was a master at using conversational methods to guide his patients into a trance-like state without them even realizing it. and his methods were far more subtle than the direct suggestions used in earlier forms of hypnosis. So he doesn't do like the whole "you were getting sleepy" stuff that we did at the beginning of the podcast. And
that's kind of terrifying.
Yeah, he could just apparently do it. Like, I mean, it presumably was more like a one-on-one type thing, but still, like, if you don't notice it's happening and you're just like, boom, you're in a hypnotic state. It's kind of crazy.
And you could be influenced to do stuff. Yeah, it's scary.
So apparently, though, these methods proved incredibly effective in treating conditions like phobias, anxieties, and pain. His work helped bring hypnosis back into the mainstream of psychology and medicine, and his innovative techniques inspired generations of hypnotherapists and paved the way for modern approaches for hypnotherapy. Now we're into the modern scientific understanding, basically, of hypnosis. So we've gotten up to this part. We developed some hypnotherapy stuff. So what do we think about it now? What do scientists think about it now? People who actually do work with it. So today, hypnosis or hypnotherapy is recognized by organizations like the American Psychological Association and the British Medical Association as a legitimate therapeutic tool, particularly in the field of hypnotherapy. Well, in hypnotherapy, yeah. In the field of just therapy and psychology. It's commonly used to treat conditions such as chronic pain, anxiety, PTSD, and it's even helpful for getting people to, quit smoking or lose weight. So what does science say about it now? So we've done experiments on people, as you do, because science. And you can do some neuroimaging studies, and some of those have shown that hypnosis does indeed produce some real changes in the brain. So when somebody's in a hypnotic state, certain areas of the brain are associated with focused attention and heightened suggestibility become more active. For instance, studies using MRI, functional MRI, which is fMRI, have demonstrated also that hypnosis can reduce activity in the brain's anterior cingulate cortex, which is a region involved in pain perception. So basically, you can get hypnotized, and it shows that basically that part of your brain that deals with pain gets lowered a decent amount, like it's deactivated to some degree, which sort of explains how it can be effective for pain management, which is pretty neat. We see actual physical changes in the brain or activation within the brain because of hypnosis. Also, it's understood now to be more of a state of deep focus and heightened suggestibility, just in general, more than like a mystical, otherworldly state. And people under hypnosis are fully aware of what's happening, but basically their critical faculties are more relaxed, allowing them to take suggestions more readily. This feels like, to me, the way it's been described, especially in the modern day stuff, seems more like it's like you're intoxicated, like you're drunk or something like that. You're just a little bit more suggestible. It's like, yeah, I'll do that thing. You do it anyway, but people like poking you a little bit more to do it. Allows you to do it more. It's something similar. This is not obviously when you're drunk, you're not really focused, but it's like a similar sort of thing. That's, I guess, the suggestibility part, if that makes sense. That's half of it. But there's other research being done today, which is the use of hypnosis in conjunction with cognitive behavioral therapy, which is like a pretty widely used therapeutic technique. And this combination is known as cognitive hypnotherapy. And the approach combines the power of suggestion with evidence-based CBT techniques to help treat conditions like, again, anxiety, depression, and trauma. So, that's most of where we are today. I do want to talk about a couple things that people have, misconceptions about this stuff. So, for example, hypnosis is not mind control. You can't be made to do something under hypnosis that goes against your morals or beliefs. It's not sleep, obviously. Some people think you go to sleep or whatever. It's not actually sleep. It's just the state of what they call focused attention. So you're focusing on, I guess, specifically the person who has hypnotized you and allows you to be this more suggestible person. And not everyone can be easily hypnotized, right? susceptibility of hypnosis varies from person to person, and some individuals can be more responsive to suggestion than others. And some studies have actually shown that there's actually a physical difference in the brain of people who are basically more suggestible than others, right? I can't remember what region of the brain it was that they talked about, but basically there's a region of the brain that is bigger or, more active usually in people who are more easily hypnotized. So,
I think there's probably trust issues too that would.
Yeah, I don't know.
That would cause you to not be.
There could be like some actual mental blockers for it, aside from like your actual brain, but from additional sort of like anecdotal stuff I was reading, a lot of people say that they couldn't be hypnotized and then were sort of. I don't know. So
but there's people out there that really don't trust.
Yeah, there are.
Period. And it's like there's like, nope, not gonna happen, because I don't think you would focus enough or something.
No,
it'd be like
you have to be
analyzing all the threats.
You have to be willing to go through the process, otherwise this wouldn't work in the first place. So you have to get across that barrier first, I guess. I mean, if you don't want to be hypnotized, you really hate it, you don't want to go through the process, it's not going to work on you.
Yeah.
You have to be willing.
And you have different brain waves when you're under hypnosis. It's more of a theta wave instead of the beta that normal waking hours.
People thought it was going to be more like the what are the sleeping ones? Are those alpha waves?
I don't know, the delta. Is it delta?
Anyway, whatever, the sleeping brain waves, that's what people thought it was going to be. And when they actually measured it, it's something different. It's more like this attention-based brainwave stuff is more active. So basically, overall, what do you guys think? Is it legit? Is it not? This is you and the podcast listeners.
Yeah, I think it is.
I think it is too. And I think people could misuse it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What do you mean by misuse it?
Well, I mean, take someone who is like needing something or is very suggestible, and someone who's not really moral gets a hold of them with hypnosis and could get them to do things that maybe it's not that they wouldn't normally do, but they would be hesitant to do, or just they would do in order to gain
it allows them to push it over the edge a little bit?
Yes, I think so.
I think that could be done, yeah. I mean, at that point, you're just effectively using the hypnosis as an excuse almost. Like the person who is actually doing the thing. One thing I forgot to mention in here, but now that we're talking, it has reminded me. People used to use this stuff, and this is something that is relevant to what we've talked about previously. People used to use hypnosis to do, what is it called? Repressed memory, like... discovery, right?
Discover repressed memories,
there's an actual term for it. Anyway, but they used to do that sort of stuff, and this is not something that's done anymore, really. Mostly because...
You're talking about hypnotic regression?
Hypnotic regression, thank you. It's not really done as much anymore, and the main reason is because you can't really tell what people are actually remembering, because people do have repressed memories, and this stuff can help them access those repressed memories. I mean, it's activating your deep memories, your subconscious. It apparently allows that to be brought out to the surface. But the issue is, you can also just suggest memories into people's brains. So people don't do it as much anymore. And in fact, because people used to do this sort of thing, and they thought it was like incredibly legitimate, people would do these sort of hypnotic regressions to recover these repressed memories of things that never actually happened, and people are now in jail for stuff that never happened because they used hypnotic regression as evidence for the happenings. So a lot of it's people who are adults who basically have no memories before they go to this hypnotherapist or whatever, that they were abused as a child, and then they go there, and now they have all these memories of being abused as a child. I mean, technically that's possible. It could have happened. You repress those memories down. But most of the time, what was happening back when this was done, these people were never abused. There's no evidence of it ever happening. They were just sort of suggested into that by the hypnotherapist.
Why would somebody do that, though?
I think that the issue is they're in this very suggestible state, and they just sort of get convinced by the person, or maybe they're mad at their parents in the first place.
you think
it's like,
Well, I guess I'm just wondering, like, why the hypnotist would
I don't think they meant to.
lead them there.
I don't think it's an
Maybe.
intentional
I don't know.
thing. I don't think that usually these people, they just want to get something out of the hypnotic regression. So they sort of ask leading questions and push people in that direction. I mean, apparently it's pretty easy. I've seen this in other stuff. Hypnosis aside, you can implant memories into people's heads. Apparently fairly easily. This is the reason why eyewitness testimony is garbo trash. Right?
Yeah.
And you really need physical evidence for stuff because people can't even remember. Well, they can't remember anything, honestly. And your brain just fills in all the gaps and you don't even know that you're doing it. So it's like you get a description of somebody and like, I don't even know what the heck color people's eyes are most of the time or how long their hair is or whatever. I have an idea of what they look like, but not really. But man, my brain will fill in all those gaps for me if I start describing somebody.
Yeah, I try not to even attempt describing people. I am so bad at it.
I don't think I even look at people.
Yeah.
Because I can't. It's like, what color hair did they have? Well,
It was there. I
yeah,
don't know.
they had hair.
Yeah, not
They weren't
always.
bald.
Sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
Which is bad.
I do worst at looking at people. I don't know. I just can't. I'm not observant, I guess.
I will recognize a face before I recognize a name,
But yeah.
but it takes me a while to actually
Internalize what they look
describe.
like. You know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I couldn't describe what Ariel looks like, and I look at her every single day. Like
Good.
that, there's no way.
Good. Don't describe me.
Well, other than
No
beautiful.
one must know.
Ariel is she's short.
Am I
She
though?
got some ears.
She's tiny and fierce. That's it.
There is
That's
a
the
nose
description.
on my
There
face.
is a nose.
Is there?
Sometimes there's
Yeah,
some
holds up
inner
her
nose.
glasses.
You got glasses, yeah.
Actually, there's always something in my nose.
Those are
Oh, you got
those are held
boogers,
up
but
by magic.
A septum ring is what I was referring to, but yes, also boogers.
I like how you don't want us to describe you, and yet you're helping us describe you.
Am I though?
well, she's trying to mislead. She's planting false memories in our heads.
I
That's what it is,
am.
yeah.
But no, so
False
it's like it's a thing.
memories.
Memory is the worst thing ever. Like people will straight up make up
I learned.
memories implied by other people because they have been suggested to do so. I'm not talking
I
about you in
learned
particular this time,
that-
Ariel.
Yeah. I noticed that how you phrased that. I did notice. Anyways, I learned that apparently when you remember something, the very first time you remember it, you're actually remembering the scenario or the thing or whatever it is. But every time after that, you're remembering the memory.
Yep.
I mean, that makes sense. Yeah.
So it's not even the legit thing. It's
Yeah.
just the memory of
Yeah.
it that you're remembering.
And they get changed over time, which is really annoying. So, have you guys ever had this happen where you remember something very distinctly and then you see, like, I don't know, a video or something of that thing and you're like, what even
That
is
didn't
this?
happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it has to have happened because it's right there. I mean, I'm looking at me doing the thing.
Didn't happen. It's AI generated.
I really feel like that about a lot of my childhood. Apparently that's like not a really good thing, but honestly, I don't remember a lot of stuff. I really don't.
I don't remember a lot of my childhood until somebody else starts bringing up
Yeah,
certain
and then you start remembering.
specific things, and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's right, that happened.
There are very few like very vivid memories that I have. And like one of them is probably one of my favorites to tell, but I thought it was just me and my mom and my dad and my little brother. But apparently all 6 of us, like my older brother and sister, were also there. I couldn't
No, they weren't.
No, they like I literally argued with them about this the other weekend and they were like, "We were there." And I was like, No.
You weren't.
You
there.
have not
You
been
have
there.
inserted yourself in my memory. Stop it.
To be fair, it's the one where I walked away from my parents at Disney World at night when the fireworks were starting. And Mom says that it was just her and Colton that were checking out. Dad was already outside. So I legit just walked away from everybody. Like Cliff, Tara, and my dad were outside. And I was like, bye.
See you later.
Apparently that's what happened. But I remember it completely different. So there's that. But I really don't remember that much from my childhood, though. Like, we went to SeaWorld before that. I don't remember that. Don't remember that at all. And I should remember that because that's my favorite place. Like,
there's
sea
a lot of
animals.
things I don't remember.
Yeah.
But then there's like these random memories. I'm like, why do I
Yeah.
remember that so vividly?
Yeah.
Like when I fell in the fountain.
The Capitol?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Zach was like, get some of those pennies out.
See, I don't remember that at all.
It happened. And then it was so slick in there because, you know, it's filled with water all the time.
Yeah.
I couldn't get out. And he didn't help me.
That sounds like me. I mean, I don't remember.
I'm sure Mama remembers it because I came back soaking wet.
That day I was about to kill both of you anyway. You're lucky you lived through that one.
That's so funny.
That was the same time that Zach caught the pigeon.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
is that
I
the
do
same time
remember
Zach
catching
got
the
the pigeon?
pigeon. I do remember that.
Was it the same time I hid from you behind the tree?
No, that was a different craft show. That was in Ohio.
I watched her looking for me from behind the tree.
Oh.
Well,
She was ready to kill me.
To be fair, those craft
Oh,
shows
yes.
were pretty boring. Just saying.
Well, for you guys, they were. Yeah, they really
we
were.
had to make fun somehow.
So,
That is.
get your sister to go
Well,
into
I
a
had-
fountain.
I had no one to leave you guys with. You just always went with me everywhere I went.
Yeah, there's that. Oh my God, we used to go to Joanne Fabrics. All the
Oh yeah,
time.
that was the worst.
That was the worst. Been like
I loved it.
days there.
Spend
it felt like.
hours.
It really did feel like days. It was the worst.
It was really bad.
I was getting stuff for costumes, guys.
I know,
You
but it was
enjoyed
really
She
bad.
that.
It
took
sucked.
6 years. I'm pretty sure 6 years.
I spent
my
so
entire
much of my
childhood was
childhood.
spent in Joanne's.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. This is so funny.
Zach hated it so much, and he didn't like beans to begin with. He said he would rather eat a bowl of spoiled beans
Yeah.
than go to Joanne
You go to
Fabrics.
Joanne Fabrics. I mean, you needed to bring me to like some sort of hypnotherapist so I get over it.
There we go. It could help you.
I guess the one other thing about hypnosis that I wanted to briefly talk about is this idea of sleeper agents.
Oh yeah.
So you see sleeper agents in media all the time. It's probably the one of the most prevalent ones or best ones is in Zoolander.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Which I do love. I never saw the second
It's the
one, but
funniest
the first
movie ever.
the first
The
one
second one
is
is
amazing. Perfect
cray
movie.
cray.
What is this? A school for ants?
He's right. Like this idea that you can have like a person who is hypnotized and basically they have ideas planted in them with a trigger phrase that will allow somebody to, actually just turn on, remember all their training, and then assassinate somebody, for example.
Kind of like they just blank out and just remember. I don't think that's hypnosis as much as it is a trauma induced. Like
I think somebody needs to sleeper agent me to be a good adult.
Oh, you know what? Let's do that.
but it's a
Me
trauma
too.
based thing where they like mess with people's minds and cause them to compartmentalize. I think that's more how that would be done instead of hypnosis, because you could fight hypnosis, I would think.
Yeah, I see.
Especially unless you really wanted to kill people.
Unless
And
they
then maybe
like
there you
broken
go.
you down beforehand.
I think it's
too.
it's a whole
Yeah.
it's a
I
whole like
agree.
process.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Well, the way that it's depicted in media a lot of time, I'm saying that part is basically
Yeah.
not real. It's never been shown to be
not
able to do.
just,
It's
like-
like not a thing, You can't just take a
Yeah.
normal person off the street and program them in this way.
Hypnotize them and make them.
Yeah, it's not a thing. You can't
No, I
do
agree
that.
with that.
It's
agree with
cool.
that.
It's a cool idea,
know-
but
I kind of wonder though if you could if they were like a people pleaser.
I don't think you could. I mean, you'd have to have some sort of really serious condition if you were a people pleaser who's like, oh yeah, I'll just go ahead and murder that person.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like
That's
I
going a
feel
little bit
like
far.
You could maybe just
Don't
like
worry.
a week, just like
You're
a week
doing
training.
them a favor.
Yeah.
I promise.
yeah.
They
Yeah.
want to die.
I mean-
This is why it'll be
To
good.
a certain level of brainwashing, you can get people to do stuff like this. Like it happens in cults
Yeah.
all the time. It happens in like,
Mhm.
well, not
This is true.
all the time, but you can get people to at least kill themselves or other people because they
Well,
have
look at
strong beliefs in this
Manson.
stuff. Oh yeah,
I mean, he did from jail.
yep. This is true. This is true.
So I guess it could be done.
It can be done, but yeah, it's not this sort of hypnosis
But
thing.
there's
It's like
more
a
involved
long,
than just the hypnosis.
It's a long process, yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I don't think it's like. So I was just wondering if it could be easier if you did have a people
I'm
pleaser.
sure it would because they would want to make you happy.
Probably are more suggestible for that reason.
Mhm.
Yeah. Thank God I'm not a people pleaser.
Yeah. But we did try to do this
I
sort
am
of stuff back
sometimes
in the day.
I am in
Be,
situations. It would have to be like
yeah.
you that did the suggesting.
I'm building my army.
Good luck with me.
Oh, there's a whole different manipulation tactic there.
Yeah. You have to reverse psychology me.
Yep.
I
Yep.
know.
Yep.
I know.
You can't do this. You want to bet?
Oh my God.
But yeah,
It's a good thing I didn't study hypnosis, huh?
yep, exactly.
Or did she?
Anyway, we did try this back in the day. It is in MK Ultra, I think was the program that we did this sort of stuff. And we
Yeah.
did lots of stuff with MK Ultra, but this is one of the things. we
Yeah,
tried
there's
to
a lot of
create.
drugs involved with that
Yeah.
one too. I mean, seriously,
Brainwashing
they gave people
drugs.
LSD.
I mean, with the name like
Torture.
MK Ultra,
Yeah.
first of all, my mind went to Mary Kay. And
Oh
that
my
was-
God,
Yeah,
me too.
that's where Mary
That
Kay
sounds
comes
like
from.
I
mascara.
laughed so hard, and I was like, I know that's not what that is.
So they put stuff in those in the makeup
Yes.
to make you.
yeah.
That's oh my gosh! There you go. There's a book, everybody.
Yeah.
Like
The reason
that.
everything's pink.
There
That's
we have
the
a book.
trigger.
There's a book.
The pink is
It's the
trigger.
lipstick.
That's so funny.
It absorbs into your lips, and you just you're all sleep reading.
And the eyeshadow because your eyes absorb a lot, so they
no.
eyeliner. That's
This is-
probably the eyeliner.
Yeah.
You put on the makeup, right? Then you watch
Uh-huh.
Mallory
ads
and you are
online,
safe.
right? You watch ads
Uh-huh.
online or on TV from Mary Kay, and because you're more suggestible because of the makeup, right? It implants the sort of programming into your brain, right? Subliminal messaging like that,
Uh-huh.
and then.
Yep.
Then later on, you're activated by, something else, some random word that they put in the ad. And then, boom, start murking people.
There we go.
Y'all are all safe. You realize that, right? I'm the only one that wears makeup on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So maybe we're the ones that aren't safe.
Yeah.
No, maybe.
Yeah, we're not safe from you. This is true.
No. Maybe it's only to attack people that don't wear Mary Kay makeup.
That could
I
be.
mean, you don't wear Mary
I don't wear Mary Kay
No,
makeup.
I think that
no.
Mary
Yeah.
Kay is more of a company that definitely wants to try world domination. So they're going to try to take out big political people who disagree with them. They're really the shadow government. Mary Kay is.
Honestly,
Well, that explains it.
if that were the case, if we were doing it with pink, sign me up. It's fine. If we make the world pink, I guess that's okay. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm gonna have to start
I'm
studying
kidding.
hypnosis.
Clearly,
She
yeah.
though.
I am kidding.
When I was cleaning out Janice's house and getting some of the books and stuff for the library, I did run across one on hypnosis for healing, and I'm like, oh, this is like what a coincidence that I find this book and I have to do this one, and I just couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. That was just a whole surreal experience for me. So
Yeah, I'll bet. Do we all say what our opinions about hypnosis were? I don't think I said mine. I'm personally sort of the mind that people can be susceptible to some form of suggestion. And it basically depends on what definition you're using, whether that's hypnosis or not. I think that's the issue, right? We don't have a really good definition for it, so people can say it's hypnosis or not. I mean, it's sort of like, you have meditation or mindfulness type stuff. You're getting yourself help through getting into an altered state
Yeah.
of consciousness. Because that sort of
Very
stuff definitely
mindful.
works.
Very cutesy.
It's very demure.
Very hypnosis.
very, very hypnosis. Very MK Ultra.
I'm reading the last Invisible Library book, and one of the main, he's a main side character. Today, he, on the way into work, he says, "You see how I'm being very helpful?" And I went, "Very cutesy, very mindful." Very demure.
See, we really are all brainwashed. We're all brainwashed.
We're dating this episode pretty badly. The demure is going to be gone. I think it's basically already gone. As a meme.
And not in any of my feeds. It's not.
No.
I got that for like a week and then it just disappeared for me.
Did you know apparently the girl who said that originally was really upset because somebody else
went and trademarked it.
Yeah.
How do you trademark demure?
A word.
I don't even know. It's specifically the whole phrase that she said. It was like the whole thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like very cutesy, very mindful, very demure.
Yeah. I'm
Why
a little
doesn't she sue
offended
them?
by
I think actually, I think they ended up getting it fixed. I think.
Oh my God, when Rowan stayed last night at the house, I don't think she took a breath.
Yeah.
Probably not.
Just
Yeah.
talk the whole time?
That's my life.
The whole time.
My life.
The whole time.
She does talk a lot.
She wouldn't
yeah.
even eat because she was talking. I'm like, would you be quiet and finish your dinner? Just eat and then you can talk.
She laughed, didn't she?
Yeah. But she did eat.
Yeah.
I can't say she doesn't get it honest. I'm also a yapper.
We'd have never figured that out.
It's
Oh my
amazing that we
God.
got through this
Okay,
much
back
of
to
the
hypnosis.
episode.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else on hypnosis personally.
I think there is, it's more with the altered states. And I think you could use it as a tool and you can use it to be helpful. And it possibly can help with your health and injuries or what. I think it can be a helpful tool. But I also think that in the wrong hands of a skilled person, there could be detriment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like these false recovered memories are making you do things you
Yeah.
you
Wouldn't normally do.
Wouldn't
Or
normally do, but it
cults.
lets you get across that barrier.
Yes.
I
could be
think
bad.
cults are the same way.
Cults are even worse. I mean, it's like
Yeah, they are.
Because that's like brainwashing,
hypnosis. Yeah.
hypnosis type deal.
I think that's the thing.
You know,
I think
it's part
brainwashing
of
is different
brainwashing
because
is-
it's more permanent. You know.
Yeah. Part of brainwashing is like they'll keep you busy and constantly moving and feed you lots of carbs and stuff like that.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
What does that remind you of?
Lots of carbs.
Yeah.
That sounds wonderful.
It's 4-H
It
camp.
sounds like jail, though.
Oh my god. I mean, you're not
Tim
wrong.
used to
They
laugh
put you
about
into
that.
altered states when you
Yeah.
start singing the songs.
Yeah, because I mean, why would everyone cry so bad at the last night when you're going to see the person next week?
That's so funny.
It's hilarious.
I mean, a lot of stuff is
Ariel?
like, it's a thing.
How do you feel about hypnosis?
Me?
Yeah.
I think it's legit.
So I think we're all like fairly
Yeah, I mean, I'm on board
in
with
agreement.
it.
Zach's
It's like,
a little bit more skeptical.
I think it's just we don't have a
obviously.
good
I think-
definition of it. That's the main thing.
Yeah,
you can
yeah,
get
yeah.
these altered states of mind, and that's fine, totally. And you can get help by people. I think the stage hypnosis stuff is pretty nonsense. Like the way that they just say, "And
Yeah.
you're down," like that. You know, maybe it
I was
works.
like,
I
I
don't
just-
think
yeah.
that one works. I've read so much stuff about people saying, "I was like, oh, I faked it," or "No, it was 100% legit. I don't remember anything." I don't believe those people very much, but
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
because even in
And I
like
think
hypnosis,
some-
it doesn't seem like that's a thing.
No, and I think you can like unlock repressed memories because a lot of
Oh,
times
you definitely can.
you'll hide. Yeah, you just have to
Yeah.
be really, really careful of how you
Yeah.
go about asking questions.
Yep. The issue is that people will ask these leading questions that can unlock supposed repressed memories that never existed. But you can actually still do this.
Yeah.
It is a way to get, your repressed memories back. This is actually really prevalent in the sort of abduction UFO type field. You got these people who will,
Yeah.
if you listen to the questions they are asking, it will lead people to these, repressed memories that
Mhm.
never existed about alien abduction. I mean, there's people who have memories that they believe are alien abduction. 100%, I believe that. But you can get people to remember more and more stuff that never actually happened just based on this. Like they could have one seed memory
think-
and then it spreads out when it never really happened.
I think that there is something to that, though, some of the abductions, because there was a lot of similarities across a lot of different people before it was widespread knowledge of what was actually happening.
Yeah, no, there's definitely
Before
a
the
thing with
books were written, before there's been any movies and stuff like that and all the jokes. But it happened before there was like the widespread general knowledge that, this is the stuff. And they were also similar.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there was something to what they were remembering.
I think there's been some
Now, whether they were,
study done on something like this, and
uh-huh.
one of the big prevalent things that came out of it was that for some reason, in right conditions, people, especially experiencing sleep paralysis, will have this sort of like, abduction scenario play out.
They have the that there's somebody in the room with them, or an EMF field, a real strong EMF field can do that too. But they don't have the detailed like medical exams and the stuff like that. But they do have that like, oh, there's somebody here.
Oh yeah, no, I think that's just straight up a thing because I felt that way too. And I mean, I think we've talked about this before, but have you guys actually had sleep paralysis happen to you?
No.
Kinda, but mine is like I'm not breathing. And I think I have really stopped breathing, and I can't wake up out of my dream, and that's where you can't get anything to work because you just have to wake up to take a breath.
Yeah.
I have been
there's been several times I've stopped breathing.
Straight up fully awake and not been able to move a couple times, and it is, for one thing, terrifying, but you do feel like something else is there with you, like holding you down almost. And it's just...
You have been abducted.
I've been abducted. Well, okay, one time it was in the car going somewhere when I was a kid, and scared the bejesus out of me, especially because I couldn't speak or anything. I'm like, you guys were in the car with me. I'm like, I can't move.
And you couldn't call for help?
I couldn't call for help. I couldn't even make like a noise like I couldn't do anything. And it felt like it was for hours. It was probably maybe 20, 30 seconds. It wasn't that long, but it was terrifying.
We were all abducted. That would explain it.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy stuff.
It's like it happens.
Yeah. Sleep paralysis is
I've
the
never
worst.
had it happen.
Don't do it. I mean, your body gets paralyzed, and basically you just wake up before the paralysis wears off. Because that happens every night, right? I mean,
that happens when you sleep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It keeps you from acting out your dreams.
Yeah, and just
Well, mine needs to get a little bit better.
I know, yeah. Me too. Mine too, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I do just smack things. I smacked Kiko one time, and I felt so bad for it.
Poor Kiko.
Poor Kiko.
She looked at me like so betrayed. I'm like, I'm so sorry.
No.
It wasn't you. It was a demon.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, I think that's going to be it for us, yeah?
Yep.
So our next episode, we're going to do my nonfiction pick, Somebody Feed Phil the Book by Phil Rosenthal. We're going to then do Ariel's deep dive pick, Manhunt by Gretchen Felker Martin. And then we're going to do a new book chat. We hope you enjoyed today's episode from the Pink Pony Club. It's time for us to sign off, but before we go, only the best libraries have librarians who don't shush you.
Wake up.
Wake up, sheep.